Hi, welcome to today's podcast. My name is Paul, and this podcast series is called P is for Plog. For those that don't know it, plogging is picking up trash while running, and I've been doing it for 13 years in my free time. But since October, I've gone professional. I'm trying to actually make plogging, picking up trash while running, something that someone can actually pay the mortgage with. Let's see if it works. Today's episode is going to be about PLOGX. So today's episode is P is for PLOGX. Let's get started.
Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it. Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it. Plug it and tag it and post it and bin it. Plug it, 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 plug it.
Okay, so those that don't know about this podcast, I'd say perhaps look at or listen to the first 3 episodes, and they really just sort of give a background into it. But now we're actually in the full swing of the podcast, so what I'll be doing is just talking about some of the interactions I've had this week and then talking about the main subject, which is PLOGX. PLOGX is actually a monthly cleanup that I do here, a monthly plog that I do in Haarlem, usually on the first Saturday of the month. And something really special happened this last Saturday, which is the reason why I want to talk about it. But first of all, let's get talking about what happened to me this week, because there are a couple of interesting things that just sort of passed me by and I just want to talk about. I think perhaps the biggest one was a milestone. I got my 1,000th bottle that I picked up off the street. Now, for those that have been following me on Instagram, where my main account does daily posts about sort of positive stories about picking up trash, for the last few months, I've been trying to pick up and collect 1,000 plastic bottles. So that could be water, could be soda, could be wine bottles. We've got these little wine bottles that are getting a bit popular at the moment. So whatever it was, I've been picking it up and then saving them. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm making a new outfit to run a marathon in. For those that know me, I did last year, or this year rather, at the beginning of the year, I did Rotterdam Marathon, I did Egmond Half Marathon in an outfit that was made up of 600 cans. It had a great big flag and everything. It was pretty spectacular, and the impact that it made was so incredible that, of course, I have to sort of do something different and make it even bigger and better. So instead of 600 cans, I'm now going to be making an outfit of 1,000 bottles. It's going to be about twice the size and twice the weight. It's going to be a bit crazy. I'll be talking more about it over the coming weeks in this podcast. But for now, I think I just wanted to say I've got the 1,000th bottle. I can start making the outfit. What's been interesting is the fact that with the cans, the 600 cans, I managed to pick those up off the streets while running within 3 weeks. The bottles has taken me a few months. So that's really good news in one way. Obviously, I don't want to pick up 1,000 bottles, but I'd rather have it take that long, because plastic bottles are not something that can be recycled into new plastic bottles. It just doesn't work that way. So I'd rather see that people are using cans instead of bottles. So that 1,000th bottle is pretty important to me. I can start making the dress. The other thing was, this is actually my second day of trying to record this podcast. When I recorded it yesterday, I had a whole spiel about I'm going to go through this winter running in shorts and not use tights. A week ago on Sunday, I was running in shorts and a short sleeve t-shirt. It was such lovely weather, and it was like crazy. We're in November, and I'm able to run like this. And I was thinking, right, I'm going to be like those people that run all year round in shorts. I want to be one of those people. And I did it. And suddenly the weather got cold. So on Thursday and Friday, it started getting really cold. And yesterday I went out after I tried to record the podcast, and my podcast was saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to go in tights. And then I went out today in tights. So I basically failed. And to be honest, it makes sense that I wouldn't do it. When I'm plogging, I'm going that much slower, and often I'm out for a very long period of time. So I've just been out for a plog this morning, and then I did park run as well. And so I've been out actually around, sort of out and about for sort of 3-4 hours, and that's just too long to be in shorts in cold weather. So it makes sense for me not to try it. But I think one of the interesting things is I'm no longer scared to do it. What I did notice yesterday in the cold weather when I was running is I actually kind of liked it. It took a while, obviously, to get into the body to get warmed up and get used to the temperature, but it felt kind of nice running in shorts in the cold weather. So one thing that has happened is I'm more likely to do it now, knowing that I've taken a little bit of colder weather. So that could be a competition or something. But if it's just a general plog when I'm just running around the streets and I could be out for a long time, then I'm not going to be crazy. I'm going to be wearing tights. I think it just makes more sense. I don't want to get a cold unnecessarily. So, yeah, so much for that plan. Oh well. Respect to all those people that go running in shorts. The last thing I want to mention was just a remark from an old guy. So when I go out running, I just sort of go along the main road, and I usually, so around about 800 meters away from my house, I often run past this guy, and I think he loves the fact that I'm running around picking up trash in his banana suit or picking up trash, because we have a conversation. Literally as I run past, we just say hi, something along those lines. One time we did have a stop and have a conversation. He was like saying, "Oh, did you clean up by the supermarket?" And I said, "Yeah, I do it sometimes." And we had sort of a conversation there. And I've sometimes seen him picking up as well, which is really nice. So, I mean, I'm guessing he's in his 70s, I think. He's very active and he's outside, and I've seen him picking up trash. And I ran past this week, and he just smiled at me and said, "Hello, colleague." And so he actually just sort of called me a colleague because he knows that both of us pick up trash. I just thought that was just so heartwarming. And it made me think, one of the things I want to do this week on Instagram, so it's Way of Life on Instagram, so follow me on that, is I actually just want to record the interactions I have. As a professional plogger, I need to get sponsors. I need to show sponsors there's value in having their logo on my shirt, that they can invest thousands of euros, hopefully, come on, thousands of euros in me, and need to get their money's worth. I think one of the biggest things that I have are the daily interactions with people. I've had this morning, loads of kids have been sort of going banana as I was running around in a banana suit, and I've actually had to stop and had a conversation with quite a few people talking about what I'm doing while I'm wearing the banana suit. And that's something that you don't get on a post. That's something you don't get on just a Reels or a TikTok video or something. You need to record those and just record the daily interaction so that the sponsors can see that other people can see the impact of wearing this banana suit. And actually that links in with PLOGX, the main subject I want to talk about today. So I'll be doing that this week on Instagram. I think I'm going to just sort of record constantly and then just do and then just edit the few seconds of people just waving at me or saying hi or banana or something along those lines. So I'll go out in the banana suit and record the interactions I get from it. So I think that was going to be a really interesting one. So, but even that, just a guy, sort of this old guy just saying, "Hello, colleague," that was just so heartwarming. So those are sort of the main interactions that I wanted to sort of talk about. Now let's move on to the main subject, PLOGX. Well, first of all, I have to explain what PLOGX is and where the name comes from. So PLOGX is a monthly cleanup that I do that's based from a running shop here in Haarlem, my favorite running shop, and actually they're a sponsor of mine, RunX. So the reason why the monthly cleanup is called PLOGX is because the name of the shop is called RunX. But how did it start? So I've actually been doing this monthly cleanup since March 22. So it's a long time, more than a couple of years now that I've been doing it. And we actually came up with the idea long before that. So I think it was just after the pandemic. It was easing, restrictions are easing. I think that's when it is. I'm not entirely sure, but the owner of RunX, Rob, he just contacted me and said, let's do something. Let's do something together. I really want to sort of support you. At that stage, being a professional blogger was never in sight for me. So it wasn't a case of, oh, you can support me by sponsoring me. They are a sponsor, as I said now. But then it was just a case, okay, well, what can we do? And we sort of came up with the idea of a group blog. A few people had been doing that I've been following on Instagram, and it looks like a lot of fun. So I thought, yeah, I really want to do that. So we decided to do a monthly cleanup. And so I came up with the idea of, okay, well, let's just call it PLOGX. And it's a very simple, it's got a very simple structure. So usually on the first Saturday of the month, just for an hour, usually around 11 o'clock in the morning and until about sort of 12:15, we go for like an hour and 15, probably get about 5 kilometers. So it's not exactly a stressed, very fast pace. The reason being is because I say to people very clearly, I'd rather stop the whole group and have a conversation with someone that's seeing us that wants to know what we're doing. I'd rather have a 5-minute conversation with them before moving on. So a lot of the time we might have a stop and someone's talking to someone or interacting with someone, or we're taking selfies, etc., to try and sort of raise awareness, be seen, and to do things. So it's only 5 kilometers in that hour. One of the interesting things, though, it does raise is this is a group plog. Whereas if you ask me what type of runner I am, what type of plogger I am, I would say I'm a solo runner. I'm a solo plogger. And it's the same with running. A lot of people will prefer to run in a group, or they will prefer to run on their own. For me, the real joy of running is that you can just do it whenever you want to. You can just go, right, I've got an hour now. I'm just going to head out and go for a run, or I'm going to do it in the morning before I start work. I don't have to worry about anyone else. And I think the beauty of running is it is that flexible. You don't have to go somewhere to book a court or to have it on a specific time, starting at a specific time. I think that's the beauty of running. And because I have this commitment, I will pick up trash every time. Every time I run, I'm plogging as well. So by default, most of my plogs are alone. I just do it on my own. As a runner, I was very fixed in my routine. I would literally do the same route all the time. One of the things that plogging did was it opened me up to new experiences. So as a runner, I would spend, if you look at my Strava from sort of the first 10 years of living here, I would literally do the same route every time. I loved that route, and I would just go out and do exactly the same thing. But as a plogger, you want to sort of pick up trash and sort of look for different places. So I started going to different directions. Instead of going right at the traffic lights, I went left, or I went straight on, which is not something I did before as a runner. And it's the same is true. I think because of my plogging, I started experiencing group runs as well. I'd never done that before, and it just ties in with when I started plogging. So I think it is connected. But the beauty of running in a group, as if you're a runner, you will know this, is that sort of friendship, that camaraderie, that, as the Dutch would say, gezelligheid, sort of gezelligheid. That's not really, that's a real Denglish word. I've just completely ruined it for them. But yeah, that sort of just coziness of running and the friendliness of running in a group is just so wonderful. So when I do it, I always thoroughly enjoy it. I always look forward to it. And it's the same is true with plogging. What's really cool with setting up the plogging group is suddenly it's got a whole new dynamic. It's got a whole new way of reaching out and making an impact. Instead, one of the reasons why I run in a banana suit is because I want people to see me. If I'm just running on my own, I'm picking up trash, it doesn't really get noticed. If I do it in a banana suit, it gets noticed. And the same is true with the group. you can really make a bigger impact if you're in a group, because suddenly there's a whole group of you running past and you've all got bags in your hand. So it doesn't matter how you look, and it doesn't matter sort of whether you're together or not. Suddenly they see a runner go past with a bag in the hand, and you see another runner go past with a bag in the hand, and you see another runner go past with a bag in the hand that suddenly bends down, picks up some trash, and they get it, and they suddenly go, wow, that's a group that's picking up trash. And it really makes a big impact. So that's what I really love about doing this group event. I wanted to make it even more impactful. So what I also did very early on is to get some t-shirts organized. So I've got t-shirts that have got sort of a design on them that says have fun, pick up trash. And yeah, so that just adds a new dynamic, because suddenly you're not just seeing a bunch of runners going past, you're seeing a bunch of runners in the same outfit, and it, you know, it acts like a uniform. Suddenly subconsciously the people understand, right, they're together, what they're doing, and it looks like they're doing something that's organized. It's not something they've just got together and they're just doing something for fun. It's something that warrants having a t-shirt, so it must be something that happens regularly, so it has an even bigger impact on people. So having those t-shirts really helps us be seen, because going back to that phrase I always love to use, when you pick up a piece of trash, you make an impact. But when people see you doing it, you can make a difference. So everything I'm doing here with that group is to be seen. I'm there in a banana suit, and other people are wearing these t-shirts. I'd love it if more people came in weird outfits and sort of just make it more fun. So if anyone's listening that comes to PlogX, then do it in a crazy outfit. I think that would be a lot of fun, because sometimes I feel a bit self-conscious. I'm the only banana there. So I'd love it if other people came around in different outfits as well, just to be seen. But this last Saturday, the reason why I want to talk about specifically PlogX in this episode is because last Saturday something really special happened. So I've been doing this for over 2 years, and the numbers that we've had have been small. It feels like there's a WhatsApp group that I'm not part of, and it's just my friends getting together and say, whose turn is it to support Paul this month? And they just say, all right, it's your turn. Okay, all right, I'll do it next month, or something along those lines, because it just wavers around some friends and around sort of 4 or 5 people on average. I've even had it with just one person before as well. That doesn't bother me. Whatever happens, I'm going to be going out and doing it. Even if no one showed up, I will be doing it, which is the reason why I put zero pressure on people to turn up. So if you do want to come along to this event in Harlem, and you can easily find all the details by going to wayoflife.com/plogx, PLOGX. And you can find all the sort of the details. One of the things when a new person, so I have started having people that I don't know come along, which has been so exciting, because suddenly it's outside of my bubble of friends, and it's got someone else coming in, which is great. And I always say to them, if there's any reason why you don't want to come along, don't feel pressured to come. Yeah, if you wake up and you go, oh, damn it, I forgot that event. That's not how I want you to come. I want you to come full of enthusiasm, because I want smiles. I want joy, and to end the event on a real high and knowing that we've made a big impact. So there's zero pressure on someone. So whatever happens, I'll be going out. But something really special. So it's always been hovering around that 5-6, but something really special happened last weekend. I got the biggest number that I've ever had before. It got to the point where I had 1 shirt left over. So I've got 10 shirts, and I only had 1 that wasn't used. So I'm guessing it must have been 10 people, including me. And there were even 4 people that were going to come along that didn't come along in the end. So it would have been even bigger. So suddenly I'm running out of shirts. Is this a one-off, or is it going to happen more and more? But now I'm a professional plogger, I don't know. But it got me really thinking about the size of the group. My original plan, or my original hope when we got together to do PlogX was, I want this to be sort of 25, 30 people each month, and make it that really big. And what I'll do is I'll do lots of different types. It won't be just going out for a cleanup. We'll do lots of different things each time. and do it that way. But it never really materialized that way yet. I always thought that when you plog in a group, the size matters. The reason being is if you're running in a group of 6, then that's a great number. Yeah, you're stuck to, it's big enough to be noticed. It's small enough that you all manage to pick up lots of trash, and it's small enough that you don't lose people. As soon as you start getting bigger numbers, then you start worrying, have I got 10 people still with me, or has someone sort of gone off on the wrong path because they're going down a different side street and picking up, they saw some trash, they run down a side street, and then they suddenly lose contact with the group. So I'm always worried about that a little bit. But the other thing is, when you go plogging, you want to pick up trash. I know it's a bit crazy, but it's a really good thing if there's not enough trash for everyone to pick up. But sometimes people can be a little bit demoralized if they're running along with an empty bag. They want to have their bag full. They want to make a real impact today. So the bigger the group, the bigger the likelihood that some people are not going to find as much trash as they ideally would like. Again, it's good news, but you kind of want to fill up your bag quickly. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to keep the numbers around sort of 6. And the idea was to sort of split people off into different teams, and we could have little competitions. Okay, go off for an hour, come back, see who's got the most trash, and things along those lines. I now do a prize on PlogX as well, which I think is really fun. It's a little trophy I've made out of trash. And I started doing that on my corporate cleanup events that I'm doing, these little star sort of trophies that are made out of trash I picked up. So it's made out of aluminium cans, and then it's put in a box that's made out of cardboard, and it's got a little plastic sort of single-use plastic packaging window and things. So for those that are watching the video, you see it on screen now. I've now changed it where I've made it a little bit more unique to PlogX. So last Saturday I did it so it had, the trophy was actually in the form of a P. And so I'll just keep on doing the letters of PlogX so that people can, like Pokemon, you've got to collect them all. So let's see if people can. So that's usually for the most unusual prize. So I had all these ideas, but I wasn't prepared for so many people coming along. So I didn't do any of that. We just went out as a big group. And it shocked me. Yes, some people didn't get as much trash as they would perhaps like, but the impact that we made was so much bigger. It felt, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but it really felt like we were connecting to the public in the streets a lot more. We were just connecting to all the shoppers. Suddenly you see a huge bunch of people and you can't help but notice it. It's like it's just like this wave of ploggers running through this street, zigzagging in and out of people. And it really felt like having more people really made a bigger impact. So I think what I'm going to do now is actually just carry on. See at what point it gets too big. At what point is it that there's just too many people in the group? I've been on some group runs where there've been like 100 people running, and it's just so spectacular to run on. But obviously that's going to be too big for plogging. Otherwise people would pick up one piece of trash each. But what is the limit? I'm curious to know what the limit is to that sort of compromise. I suspect it might be around 15. But let's see if I can get 15 people before I actually decide that. So I'll keep you posted on that. So that's PlogX. Again, come along if you can. I think it'd be really good. And, or if you are a plogger, or if you want to organize something along those lines, then just reach out to me. We can have a chat and I can tell you about it, and also have a look on Instagram. So each time I usually do a little film about the PlogX event, so you can sort of see how it goes. But just reach out to me if you want to know more about how you think it can work best for you. So let's move on to how my week went. I'd just like to keep you up to date of sort of the distances I've done and also the amount of trash I've got. So you can, if you've been following me along for the podcast recently, you sort of know it's been going up and up and up and up. And the week before I did 120 kilometers. This week was similar. So I got 118, or last week, the week just gone, I did 118 kilometers, which is great. The reason why that's so great for me is because I like to do around 4,000 kilometers of running, but I had a bit of a niggly injury through my own stupidity, and my own stupidity of keeping it going as well. I didn't really fix it well enough. So I was well behind. And to get 4,000 kilometers, you need to do around 77 a week. So having 120 is really sort of biting into that, catching up. And I think I'm still going to get up to that 4,000 if I keep on doing these distances. So I did 118 kilometers. And also what is nice, I got well over 1,000 liters. So I got nearly 1,200 liters of trash. So that's including PLOGX. So I do include PLOGX. So we go out and we got around 500 for the day, so with that group, and also what I picked up before and after. So that makes a big impact in terms of the monthly stats. But what is interesting is I sort of made a statement when I went professional saying, if I can do all this in my free time for the last 13 years, imagine what I can do full time. So if I pick up in my free time 40,000 liters of trash, surely I'm going to do more as a professional. And so I think that's taken a while for me to realize that. So I think if I can do over 1,000 a week, then that takes me to sort of well over 50,000 liters. And I think that's something that I'd be really happy with. So that's sort of turning into a bit of a new target. So having over 1,000, 1,200 liters is perfect. This week coming is going to be a bit more of a recovery week, but I'll talk about that next week. I'm going to just leave it there now. But one new feature that I want to do on this podcast is give you a tip and to really sort of close things off properly. So I've actually got a podcast. It's labeled podcast end track. So let's play that and let's close off the podcast with a tip and also just a positive message. Oh, hang on.
Feels like being sprayed in unicorn glitter.
Hang on. Let me do that again. I've got to get used to these controls. Right. Here we go. End credits.
Picking up just a handful of litter. Feels like being sprayed in unicorn glitter. It makes the run not just really you. It helps the world get clean too. People will shout, well done then, mate. It's something that'll make you feel great. So next time you step out of the door, pick up something that needs to do more.
Okay. So we've got some end credits now. Fantastic. So let's just end with a tip. There's one of my favorite books ever is by Scott Jurek, which is called, I'm actually looking at it right now, so Eat and Run. It's a fantastic book and it talks about his adventures. And one of the things I love that he does on it is he gives a recipe at the end of each chapter. So in effect, someone suggested I should do a tip at the end of each podcast. And I think that's a brilliant idea. So what tip is it going to be today? Well, I'm going to connect it with PLOGX and the reason why we do it and the reason why I wear a banana suit and that message I said about being seen. Be seen. If you do pick up a piece of trash, make sure someone sees you doing it. It's not to say, look, I'm cool. It's to say, look, what I'm doing is cool. And that can be as simple as just being a little bit dramatic in how you're doing it. Or another simple tip is don't put it straight away in the bin. Hold it out like it's some sort of, I don't want to touch it. But then don't walk to the bin and put it in the bin. Take it to the next bin. And that's one of the things I do when I'm running. I won't necessarily put my bag of trash into the bin straight away. I might carry it for a bit longer. And then I've got a chance that someone's going to see me and they see me running with a bag of trash and it makes them think. Be seen is the tip. Don't feel self-conscious. You're doing something great. You're making, when you pick up a piece of trash, it's a positive story. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any tips for me, let me know. But I'll speak to you next week. Bye.